So, here's something crazy that most people either didn't notice or don't want to discuss. What if Meghan Markle never had children at all? No, we're not talking about hazy internet rumors here. Her own father went on record saying that Meghan had frozen her eggs years ago, and her brother said she had a hysterectomy after that. And here's the thing. This allegedly happened while she was still married to Trevor Engelson, long before Prince Harry even entered the picture. That alone completely appends the story of their idyllic family, and the more you dig, the more complicated it becomes. The real problem isn't just that she had frozen eggs. It appears that she couldn't afford to keep them preserved over the long term. The cost of keeping them preserved is estimated to be between $8,000 and $9,000 per month.
And she's changed. She's not the daughter I knew. My daughter was a much more giving, loving person than she is now.
And she's transformed. She's not the daughter I knew. My daughter was a much more giving, loving person than she is now. And if the rumors are to be believed, Meghan didn't have that kind of money back then. We're talking about someone who, according to insiders, made around $7,000 per episode on Suits. And that's when she even showed up, which wasn't very often across 108 episodes. Her total screen time adds up to about 138 minutes. That's basically blink and you miss it level. So now imagine this: she loses access to the frozen eggs because she couldn't afford the storage, has a hysterectomy, and still shows up years later with 2 kids that are supposedly hers. You see where people start raising eyebrows, right? And it's not just speculation. People have been picking apart her entire motherhood narrative like a detective solving a cold case. There's barely any real footage or pictures of her being openly affectionate with the children. You know, the usual mom stuff: hugs, kisses, messy moments. Instead, the kids seem awkward in every public sighting, like props in a staged scene. There's even chatter that the little girl we saw one day at Disneyland isn't the same one we saw the next day in a different dress. Are we seriously seeing different children used in different appearances? And that moon bump clip, bro, Meghan walking around with what many claim is an obviously fake pregnancy belly during the pandemic in a hospital, no less, at a time when strict CO rules were in full effect. That's not just eyebrow raising, that's potentially illegal. Hospital policies were extremely tight then, especially for maternity wards. You couldn't just waltz in, let alone bring in camera crews and pose for content. Now put all that next to how she acts in interviews or public appearances. She always seems so distant when her kids are mentioned, like there's no real maternal warmth. Her responses are flat, sometimes even weirdly performative. It's like she's going through the motions of being a mother without any real connection, and people notice. It's not even hate, it's observation. Something just doesn't sit right. Even her dad noticed. That's what's crazy. This isn't a random online troll talking trash. It's her dad dropping receipt. He said she had her eggs removed and frozen, period. Then her brother backed it up, adding that she had a hysterectomy afterward. That's not small talk. That's a straight up bombshell if true, because it completely shatters the narrative of her biological motherhood. And what's worse, nobody in the mainstream media is asking the questions. They just gloss over it like it never happened. So you have to ask yourself, if Meghan really couldn't have kids, then where did Archie and Lyle come from? Why does it feel like the palace, the press, and even the public are all tiptoeing around the biggest unanswered question in the royal saga every time those children are brought up? Meghan and Harry avoid any genuine transparency by seeming like the ideal parents. This is what really confuses people. It's either really polished or oddly ambiguous. No authentic birth images or unprocessed moments, simply carefully chosen photos that seem more like promotional content than family photos. And then there's this strange element: it's nearly impossible for a couple living in the spotlight all the time to have no hospital confirmations, no medical professionals come forward, and not even a blurry paparazzi shot of Meghan actually pregnant in a candid moment. There is footage that has been floating around that shows Meghan's belly literally shifting and folding unnaturally as she squats down, like not just an awkward angle, but props department error. People zoomed in, slowed it down, and examined it frame by frame, and what they discovered doesn't scream baby bump, but rather foam padding. If there is actual deception involved, it changes the game. It's no longer just a question of privacy, it becomes a question of authenticity and public trust. At one point it was reported that Meghan had her royal title removed from the document and later put back in. That's not standard procedure, and in the US royal titles aren't supposed to be used as legal names, yet somehow Archie and Lilith's paperwork slipped through the cracks with titles attached. According to insiders, even immigration officials were confused and supposedly reached out to King Charles for clarity. That's not a thing that happens unless something seriously sketchy is going on. Harry On the other hand is no innocent bystander, he's playing along just fine, smiling for the camera, riding the wave, and even demanding HR titles for the kids that stirred up a whole storm behind the scenes. The Queen reportedly had made it clear before her passing no HR titles for those stepping away from royal duties, but here comes Harry trying to push it through anyway, and according to multiple sources Charles caved, the man who was supposed to clean up the monarchy's image, handed over those titles like party favors. But let's rewind for a second. Why would Meghan go through all this trouble in the first place? Some say it's for brand value, others say it's to secure her spot in history, but one theory stands out. She believed having royal children would lock her into the monarchy forever, not in name, but in influence. 2 kids born into the firm with HR titles, that's leverage, that's long-term PR power. Whether she gave birth or not becomes almost irrelevant if the public believes the narrative, and yet cracks keep showing. Meghan's behavior toward the children is consistently off. In one video she awkwardly holds one child like she's never held a toddler in her life. No eye contact, no soothing gestures, just stiff posturing. And the kids, they look like they're being managed by assistants. There's always a handler nearby, always a sense of this is for the camera. People aren't stupid, they notice the inconsistencies, the weird body language, the lack of real emotion, and the question that keeps echoing louder is this: if these kids aren't biologically hers, and if the palace knows that, then why is everyone pretending everything is normal? Is it out of fear, shame, or something deeper that we're not even close to understanding yet? Meghan's defenders always jump in with the same tired argument: she's just private. But there's a difference between privacy and when it starts to look like you faked an entire pregnancy, hired stand-in children, and manipulated your way into royal recognition. It stops being about personal boundaries, it becomes about public deception, especially when you're still using royal titles, still appearing on the official monarchy website, and still cashing in on the Duchess brand every chance you get. Then there's the timing of everything. The video of Meghan twerking went viral right around the same time fresh questions started popping up about the kids, almost like a distraction tactic: make noise, stir up controversy, and shift attention away from what people are really asking: who exactly are these children? If she's truly their mother, then why the need for all this misdirection? Why not clear it up once and for all? Instead, it feels like the plan is to keep throwing out new headlines, new narratives, and new outrage bait, anything to avoid the core question. But what Meghan seems to be missing is that this kind of attention doesn't build legacy, it burns it. The Kardashian comparisons she clearly loves, they don't work here. Kim and Paris weren't claiming royal legitimacy, they weren't putting children at the center of a public relations power play. Meghan is, and now more than ever people are looking at Harry, because at the end of the day this isn't just Meghan's charade. Harry is neck deep in it too. He's not some poor fool who got duped, he's actively helping shape the story. A man who once claimed he hated the press now seems obsessed with maintaining their image. He's calling the paparazzi when it suits him, launching lawsuits when it doesn't. It's hypocrisy at full volume. The royal family, on the other hand, remains mute, makes no protests, and shows only a calm, uneasy tolerance. Yet silence is not neutrality. It's complicity, particularly when 2 individuals who quit their jobs but kept their benefits are tarnishing the monarchy's reputation. There is no accountability. Meghan continues to sign her name alongside the Duchess of Sussex, Harry, who still insists on receiving royal treatment when traveling abroad, and the palace continues to post their biographies on the official royal website. No boundaries are being established. And each time Meghan shares a meticulously staged picture of one of those children, or Harry speaks about defending his family, it's another insult to truth seekers, because it's no longer about them but rather the organization they work for and the trust they've betrayed. And the public may never see evidence of what actually transpired. The more Meghan and Harry try to act normal while everything around them screams abnormal, the more the cracks appear. People are comparing dates, watching body language, analyzing photos, and noticing when the same child looks oddly different within days. At some point, even the most devoted fans will stop defending the illusion because it can't last forever. When it finally breaks, the press stops protecting them, and the palace can no longer turn a blind eye. What happens next could be far more explosive than anything we've seen so far, because this isn't just a couple bending the truth. It could be one of the biggest image con jobs in royal history, and everyone from the top down may have helped make it possible.